Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide. And Charlton and Big C Sports are on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 media company in the United States of America. Today is a beautiful November the 28th, 2016. And Charlton and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe according to Big C and his good old boys. And also Big C, you know, sometimes they say, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Well, I got a story to tell from the black hole last night, Big C. Before I tell that story, I really want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you for following Charlton and Big C Sports. We thank you very much. Also across the pond in Paris, France, and London, England, thank you so much. And of course, you good old boys up in Canada, thank you so much. Oh, Canada. In fact, I got a new flavored drink I might be bringing to you, Canada. I found it in the black hole last night at the Alameda County Coliseum. And also, of course, the land of the free and the home of the brave, the United States of America. But you good old boys down south, Big C, are you still trying to succeed from the Union, you and Donald Trump, Big C?
Well, Charlton, I thought we might have to go to Canada and go up there and apologize after all this thing that you've been attempting and everything. I want to send congratulations out to the Canadian Football League last night, Charlton.
Oh, yeah.
The Ottawa Red Blacks won the Grey Cup last night, beating the Calgary Stampeders 39-33 in an epic game. And this is a team, Charlton, that was a brand new franchise in the league just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now they've risen up and won the most prestigious football title in all of Canada. But not only that, Charlton, the quarterback for the Ottawa Red Blacks, a kid named Henry Burris, he also had played with Calgary and won a Grey Cup there.
Yeah.
But even more notable, one of the more hungry NFL teams that need a quarterback, the Chicago Bears. he played with the Chicago Bears, Charlton, 8 years ago in the NFL, but they didn't feel that he was good enough to keep around. But since they let him go, he's gone back to Canada, Charlton, and won 2 Grey Cups, which is the equivalent of the Super Bowl, you know, in the Canadian Football League. So wouldn't it have been ironic if the Bears may have kept Henry Burris?
Yeah.
What they may have done is a franchise now, but once again, Charlton, he's an African-American quarterback.
Well, you know, Big C, there's something about the CFL. They've been playing championship games for over 100 years, while the NFL is coming up on Super Bowl number 51 down in the great state of Texas. Wouldn't it be great? You know the way they merge hockey, and they also merge hockeys in Canada, also the United States. There was a time when the CFL expanded into the United States, and I guess the NFL didn't want the competition. But wouldn't that make much more sense expanding into Canada as opposed to going over into Europe, Big C?
Well, yeah, I think the thing about that, Charlton, because of the heritage of the Canadian Football League, is that, you know, you're going to go in and you're going to take away something that a country has done by putting the NFL into those markets. And so that's the thing. I think the two leagues have formed a partnership over the past several years as far as allowing players to move back and forth between the two leagues. But it's something that's their own unique game up there, Charlton, and watching the game, they only have 3 downs versus 4. The field is much wider, which the NFL, that's the one thing the NFL should adopt.
It would help for safety.
It's 11 yards wider than the NFL field, Charlton. But I think with the size that the players have grown to in the NFL, if the NFL was ever to think about the safety of a player, Charlton, that's what they're going to have to do is expand the width of the field. I understand it's all about dollars, about putting butts in the seat, Charlton, but it's also about saving lives, Charlton, and saving the health of some of these players. And speaking about saving lives, Charlton, I want to touch on a very poignant point about the lives of young football players. You and I have discussed it more than anybody has in all these network broadcasts. They don't pay enough homage to the high school football players, Charlton. This past season in high school football, unfortunately, 17 young men have lost their lives on the playing field, Charlton, due to catastrophic injuries. You know, we've talked about the head concussions and injuries of that nature, Charlton. And this is what has happened to 17 young lives that have been lost in this game. And we've talked about the dangers and the perils of football, but, you know, the experts have come out and say, well, with the millions of players who play, what is 17? That's a minuscule number, but those are 17 children, Charlton, that have lost their lives. That's 34 parents that have lost their children, Charlton, and countless grandparents, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. These are Americans, Charlton, These are the people that we have to think about when we talk about the safety of youth football, Charlton, that we have to put more emphasis on youth football versus the NFL, because these are grown men with developed bodies, not kids with bodies that are developing, Charlton.
And that's very well said, Big C. And speaking of safety, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And you've all heard this story. You know Big C drives through all that mud. You know the story of Big C. You drive through all the mud. Now I'm seeing Cadillac with the commercials with a big, beautiful Escalade driving through the mud, splashing muds on all of the lesser competition, Big C. But they have yet to reproduce that catfish smell, Big C. They work on that smell for your good boys, Big C.
Well, what's happening is you keep singing about Canada when you tell all that driving through the mud, going up to Canada. Just get away, and after making that drive up to Tennessee, where the Powerball was, I might have to just leave the country anyway.
Yeah, I noticed you wouldn't answer your phone after Saturday night, and I said, I know Big C said he's driving to Tennessee. Maybe they're going to bet a hunt for some wild boar or something. And then I heard that Powerball was hit over $420 million, and I couldn't even reach you on their private line, Big C. So something's up, Big C.
Well, we'll always be friends, Charlie. Don't worry about that. I won't send you no postcard because we have a postmark on it,
Yeah, I know. I sent you a holiday letter that said return to sender, so I said, okay, he does things fast. But speaking of doing things fast, Big C, a lot of good things happening in the world of sports. We know the great Tiger Woods is talking about making a comeback. That would be great for the world of sports. But I'm telling you, yesterday in the Black Hole, one of the best NFL football games that I've seen in a long time at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. And they took on last year's NFC champion, the Carolina Panthers, and man, they do look good. They just had a little bit of hard luck. I think that's the first time that Cam Newton has had a roughing the passer called against him in that game. But also, for me, they say fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, Big C. I sat in the same black hole where I got they christened me in the black hole with some type of liquid gold, Big C. But obviously, this didn't taste like beer. But I tell you, I figured out I'd be safe the next time. It happened again yesterday, Big C. I'm in the black hole. So good old boys, they decided to baptize Big C Sports in the black hole, Big C. So I tell you, what a great game, though. If you saw the game, Big C, just your thoughts on the great Oakland Raider offense. They just don't seem to have the defense that can shut down a team, but they have an offense that can keep up with anyone they're playing against, Big C. Your thought on the great Oakland Raiders and the Carolina Panthers, Big C.
Well, we're talking, I look at the Oakland Raiders offense and how that passing game has really developed. You got Amari Cooper, #1 draft pick from a year ago out of Alabama.
Yeah.
But even Michael Crabtree in 2009, Charlton, was a Biletnikoff recipient of the best college receiver.
Yeah.
And he thought he was going to go to the Raiders in 2009, but they passed on him and took this kid out of Maryland, Harry Bay.
Yeah, Harry Bay.
And he's become a journeyman in the NFL, and now that Crabtree has come to the Raiders and really established himself, Charlie. You think about the key clutch catches that he makes. He's the go-to guy. Amari Cooper's a leading yardage guy, but Crabtree makes the catches to keep the drives alive, the critical over-the-middle stuff. And when you think about that defense, 3 years ago, Jadavian Clowney, everyone said he was the best player in college football. Even though he had only played one season, and the rest of the time he skipped the games and stuff.
Yeah, he decided to. Go ahead.
And everyone said Khalil Mack was the second best player in the draft. Khalil Mack, Charlton, had a historic game yesterday when you think about what he accomplished. This guy had an interception, he had a sack, he had a fumble, and he recovered the fumble.
Yeah.
So that's 4 things that he contributed to on defense. Only once in history, Charlton, that's been done before.
Yeah.
And that was done by a former Raider when he played with the Green Bay Packers, Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
The only other player to accomplish that feat. But when you think about the development of Khalil Mack, since he's been with the Raiders versus the non-development of Jadavian Clowney, since he's been with the Houston Texans, it's almost like a Brock Osweiler scenario. But Derek Carr, put his pinky finger on his throwing hand.
Wasn't that something?
Put a glove on it, Charlton. put a little hurt no more on there.
Hey, Big C, I have an inside story for you. You know, Khalil Mack is one of the many athletes that follows Big C Sports on Twitter. But if you saw the Darth Vader thing, remember when Darth Vader cut off Luke Skywalker's hand in that that lightsaber fight? Well, Derek Carr, something happened to him. He went inside, put on that black glove, and did you notice how he had more power after he wore that glove, Big C? I hope he destroys the glove the way Tom Brady didn't destroy the football, Big C.
You'll be wearing it all the time, most likely myself.
He definitely had just an incredible environment for the Coliseum yesterday, being there and seeing all the Raider fans. There's also more talk of the Raiders staying in the Bay Area. That would be great, even if they build a new stadium in Jack London Square. I thought it would be great, Big C, going there after the game. A lot of activity.
Yeah. Think about the Coliseum. The Coliseum is 50 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's archaic when you think about arenas. And California has the oldest stadiums in all of pro football.
Yeah.
You look at the Oakland Coliseum, you look at the Los Angeles Coliseum, you look at Jack Murphy Stadium down in San Diego. Those are the three oldest venues in the NFL, and they're all in California teams. You talk about the richest state in the nation, but yet they don't support their teams, their sports teams like other states support theirs, Charlie. And maybe because there's so many in California, having 4 teams, but 3 of these teams are playing in archaic, outdated stadiums, Charlie.
Well, I'll tell you what, Big C, to me, it would make a lot of sense if they could do, because of the hallowed ground, they have championships won in that same parking lot area with the Warriors multiple times, with the Oakland A's multiple times, and then the Raiders, even though they had one of those championships down there in the Los Angeles area, Big C. But I'm just thinking what Green Bay did with Lambeau Field, because that's an older stadium, I believe, than even the Coliseum, but they renovated that stadium like the Los Angeles Coliseum. It would be horrible to tear these stadiums down. I think Soldier Field also did the same thing in Chicago. They didn't build a new stadium. They renovated what they had. Look at the Roman Coliseum. It's been around for thousands of years. And I just think that part of the Bay Area, if you look at the championships won in every single sport, they have nothing to gain by moving it elsewhere. I would think they put a great baseball park downtown in Jack London Square for the A's, but I would love to see the Raiders just renew that stadium, renovate the stadium. They could play at Cal Berkeley. I think they did that back in the 70s, Big C. They played at Cal Berkeley for some time. That's my hope and thinking, but I'm not the guy with the money that you got to call Ronnie Lott for stuff like that, Big C.
Well, Charlton, look at this. Just like with the Jets and the Giants in New York.
Yeah.
Why not utilize Levi Stadium? You have a brand new state-of-the-art facility. And how far is San Jose from Oakland?
Yeah, about an hour drive.
About an hour further than what San Francisco is from Oakland, Charlton.
Yeah, I
mean, from San Jose. So, I mean, when you look at the logistics of that, and you already have a new facility where they spent $1.5 billion there in San Jose building that stadium, and logistically, when you look at the Raiders fan base, I think it covers all of California, and so many of those fans recruit. Yeah. But if you give them a modern, updated facility, you probably will get more of a fan base in there. Now, the San Francisco 49ers are a team that struggle, but they pack the house every week. Yeah. The Raiders are now the top team in the AFC. Yeah. I think if you put them in a modern facility, that even more fans will come talking, because one of the detractors about where the Coliseum sits is that it's an older area of the city that really has not been updated, Charlton. Yeah. And that's what you look at when you look at all these modern stadiums that have been put in. People are putting in, things around these stadiums that will draw people other than just the game, Charlton. Yeah. They've been modernized and updated. The Coliseum sits in an area, like you said, the stadium's 50 years old. So one around there has been updated. Now the Warriors are leaving Oracle Arena there also. Yeah. So there's not going to be much to attract a fan to that particular area, Charlton. So if it was for me, I would consider trying to partnership with the 49ers in utilizing that beautiful stadium there in San Jose, and keep both teams there in the Bay Area.
Well, Big C, from what I understand, that would be like getting Alabama and Auburn to share the same stadium. I think they might have to have Jesus come back before that happens, Big C. And speaking of some of the stats for the Oakland Raiders yesterday, just looking at how great Carr was, when you look at the first downs for both teams, Carolina had 19, Oakland had 22, and they jumped out to a big 24-7 lead, Big C. And Carolina, I'm telling you, that quarterback for Carolina, Cam Newton, not only is he a stud, but again, walking up to the black hole and giving a football to a kid I think that's a great way to do things when you're an athlete, Big C. But just really impressed with the way the Raiders came back and won that game. When you look at overall how they performed, you had Newton was 14 of 28, had one pick by Khalil Mack, who also follows us on Twitter, for 246 yards. Carr was 26 of 38, one interception, 315 yards. But I look at what happened with the Raiders. It's something about the moxie of the Raiders, the resiliency. I know a lot of people right now, they're putting the Raiders in the AFC Championship game with perhaps New England. But, you know, Denver and Kansas City still have a lot to say about that. And in the NFC, you have the Dallas Cowboys. And don't be surprised if the Giants end up playing them in the NFC Championship game. And they're coming on strong. But I just want to get some of the store and the stats with you, Big C, and a couple of other games that we have coming up. Just your thoughts on it. You had the Giants over the Browns 27-13, not really an impressive win. They both had, when it comes to first downs, the Giants only had 13 first downs. Cleveland had 21 first downs. How are the Giants winning so well? We look at Manning, he was actually 15 of 27. He only had 194 yards. McCown had 25 of 43 for 322. What's going on with the offense for the Giants, Big C?
Well, the offense of the Giants, Charlton, has found the running game, and that has been the difference. Eli Manning has never been a dominant NFL quarterback. He has two sneaky Super Bowl wins, so he gets a lot of acclaim for those. But the running game is what's making a difference with the Giants this year. They learned how to run the football. The defense is the seventh best ranked defense in the NFC, so they're doing some things right on that side of the ball. But Eli Manning will always get the credit when the Giants win. He gets none of the blame when they lose. But you have one of the top three receivers in all of pro football with Odell Beckham, Charlton.
He's a stud.
Who can make a difference in any game. It's just a matter of how the media wants to play him. It's not about his play, it's how the media wants to play him. If they just concentrate on his performance on the field, no one would understand or know about his antics, Charlton. But for the media, when they're broadcasting the game, it's more important for him to show the buffoonish side of him, Charlton, other than the athletic side of it. When you look at what he did against Cleveland, catching 2 touchdown passes, this kid is a gamer, game in and game out. But they would rather focus when he's having a tantrum on the sideline than being explosive on the field, Charlton.
Well, Big C, I agree with that very much. And as you know, an athlete has to get into an emotional state in order to play the game at the highest level. So whatever works for him is going to work for him, whether it's Gronkowski or whether it's the way that Joe Montana used to do his celebrations too. I actually love the fact that players can dance. In fact, there's so many people that look down on what Beckham does when he scores a touchdown. But if you watch these video games, I think it's called EA Sports, well, they have him, Beckham.
Charlton. You said the fans. No, the fans don't get down on it. These are the buffoons sitting up in the broadcast booth who have no rhythm. The fans enjoy the celebration. All the fans enjoy the celebrations for the athletes when they get into their zone. Back in the day, even when I played, Charlton, it was easy to say, if you don't want him to celebrate on you and embarrass you, don't let him into the end zone. Okay? As a defender, you facilitate that when an offensive player goes in and celebrates it, and a lot of people want to call it showboating. It's not showboating, Charlton. It's fan entertainment. There's not a fan who buys a ticket that doesn't want to see his home player celebrate after a touchdown, Charlton. That's what they come for. They come to see him cross the goal line. They come to see the celebration after. The stupidity in the broadcast booth said, well, this is not called for. Well, maybe it's not, because you never got into the end zone. All right? But you had teammates who did it, and when your teammates were doing it, as these analysts that are sitting there berating the players that are doing it now, they all had teammates, Charlton, that did end zone celebrations. They never called any of their teammates stupid.
No, that's true, Big C. And when you look at even going back to the beautiful Thanksgiving football that we had for the NFL, a lot of close games, especially the game with the Lions and also the Cowboys and Redskins. The Steelers had a blowout win over the Colts. But just want to go back one step to the Dallas Cowboys, which are just playing lights out football. When Ezekiel Elliott, who you said, and I also agree with you, that he would have been the best pick. He should have been the number one pick coming out of the NFL draft. I know a lot of media people went with Carson Wentz in golf, and their teams are in last place. But I'm telling you, this kid, Ezekiel Elliott, every time he scores, he does a little bit of celebration also. I guess that's more acceptable in Dallas, but he happens to be a running back outside of a quarterback. still African American, Big C. But Des Bryant and Brown for the Redskins, they were John after almost each catch, after each play. And part of that is okay. That's kind of what you want to see. You want to see that machismo, that macho mentality. As long as it's contained, it's not like what happened last year with Beckham and Brown. But do you still think, I mean, to me, Big C, that makes the game a little bit more exciting when guys talk a little crap the way Conor McGregor does in the UFC, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you mean Josh Norman, Charles. Josh Norman and Des Bryant were into it physically and mentally into the game, Charles. But that's the competitive nature of an athlete. And, you know, it appalls me every time. Like I said, I hear a broadcaster sitting in the booth saying this is uncalled for. All right, you're sitting up there. You're going to tell me you never get into it with a production assistant?
Yeah.
When you're sitting up there, you never get into a craft service person about they didn't get you your coffee on time, and they didn't get you your soda on time. So you want to berate somebody on the field who was going out there trying to gain a competitive edge against an opponent.
Yeah.
You're not walking out there after let me shake your hand.
Yeah.
Hey, God, that was great you knocking that pass away from me on that defensive play. You don't want to get up there smack talking, that's profanity.
All the time.
You got players saying stuff to each other that make you cringe, you know. And I recall one time that, you know, when I was playing, I had a teammate apologize to me. I was berating and using profanities on.
Yeah.
He was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I said some things to this guy that still shake me today.
Yeah. Well,
but, you know, that's part of the edge that you have, Charlie. So when you want to take away the edge of an entertainer, that's like taking the tricks away from a magician, Charlton.
Yeah.
Then he can't perform his act. Okay, that's like taking all the things away from a clown, all the things that he used performing at Ringway Brothers Circus.
Yeah.
So when you take away all of what an athlete can do, so all you can do is run up and down the field and come back to the huddle. You can't say anything to anybody. You can't defend yourself. You can't make plays. This is why the game they call the NFL the No Fun League, because you got all these stiffs sitting around that don't have an emotion for the game, a passion for the game. All they want to do is cash a paycheck, Charlton.
Well, speaking of cashing paychecks, Big C, look at a game that happened yesterday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 14-5, almost like a baseball score over the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle's traveled so much. The last two of the last 3 weeks they've been across the country. A lot of jet lag sets in when that happens. But I'm really impressed with the way Winston played against the great defense in Seattle. Wilson, it was 17-33, threw 2 interceptions, only 151 yards. But Winston was 21 of 28 with 1 pick, 220 yards. But I'm telling you, Tampa Bay, even though they played a tired Seattle team, I think Tampa Bay is playing a lot better football, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about it, Charlton, in the last 3 weeks, Seattle has traveled 16,000 miles to play 3 football games. That's wear and tear, because they had to travel to New England back home, they had to travel to New Orleans back home, they had to travel to Tampa and back home. 16,000 miles of travel in a matter of 3 weeks. Yeah. But you think about this also, Charlton. This is Seattle's 3rd game without scoring an offensive touchdown. Yeah. Has to be a little troubling. This is not the Seattle team that we saw 3 years ago. No, not at all. The biggest difference in this Seattle team, even though Russell Wilson is getting healthy now, beast mode is not around any longer, Charlton. Yeah. There is not that dominant running back the whole defense is in place. You could not blitz. You could not drop back into deep double coverage against the Seattle receivers when beast mode was around. Yeah. Not only was he this tremendous dominating runner, Charlton, but he had a set of hands where he could catch the ball out of the backfield. So he put leverage on the defense in many ways, not just running the ball, but also catching. And that's the major difference when we look at the Seattle team of the last season and a half, beast mode not playing, and you see the demise in their offense and all this pressure put on Russell Wilson. We talk about quality running backs in the NFL. Yeah. Seattle has not developed one yet, Charlton.
No, and they're going to have to do that, especially coming down the stretch in the playoffs. I'm not that impressed with the second team in the league outside of the Giants, which did not look all that great yesterday. Dallas just seems like they're a step above everybody, even though the Redskins with Cousins starting to play better too. I think more teams right now, they've figured out what their strength is and what their weakness is, and going down the stretch, that's really going to set into who plays who when it comes to the playoffs, Big C. Another game that happened in the NFL yesterday, I thought it was a great ball game, a game where it could have gone south for the 49ers, but they traveled all the way across the country, and they played the Dolphins close. It was 31-24, the Dolphins over the 49ers, but I just want to give it up to the great Colin Kaepernick. Here's a guy that's been so maligned by the media for so many reasons, and I don't care about the Castro thing or whatever he's done, but when you look at his playing, Big C, almost every analyst in every sports show was saying that he should be traded from the 49ers before the season began. They also had breaking news that he was going to be traded. They had some breaking news give them the information he was going to be traded. You know, Colin Kaepernick accounted for 86% of the 49ers yards yesterday. Colin Kaepernick led the NFL in rushing. He had 10 carries, 113 yards. That's 11.3 yards per carry. And when you look at how he passed the ball around as well, I mean, he just had everything in control yesterday. 29 of 46. He had one pick that should have been a reception for 296 yards and a couple of other drops. Tannehill passed for 285. But I asked any of these commentators that were saying that Kaepernick should go, and they were praising Brock Osweiler leaving Denver, thought Kaepernick should take a pay cut to go to Denver. He had the best performance of any quarterback in the league. Also 3 touchdowns yesterday, Big C. If they build around him, which is what you said back in the summertime, they still have a chance to become a playoff team. They got to redo their defense and get some playmakers on offense. But I challenge anyone to find one player that accounted for 86% of the team's total offense yesterday. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I want to reflect on San Francisco defense. I saw 2 defensive backs in the game that I was cut before the game was over.
Yeah.
That refused to make tackles on Miami receivers. One at about the 30-yard line took a bad angle and just let the receiver run past and let him catch the ball pass. Then another defensive back at about the 10 wants to try to grab the guy by the shoulder pad. Never attempted to tackle him, just put his hand on his shoulder pad.
Yeah.
Both of those guys would have got their walking papers today, Charlton. That's not pro football. That's not even high school football.
No, not at all.
That's a lackluster attempt. So if you take away those 2 touchdowns, San Francisco potentially could have won the game, Charlton.
Yeah.
But not only that, Colin Kaepernick was stopped at about the 1.5-yard line to end the game because he had no receiver that could get open, Charlton. He had no running back that could carry the ball. So when you think about what he's done since he's come in, I believe he's played 4 games now at quarterback, Charlton.
Yeah, he has.
4 games he started at quarterback for the 49ers this year, Charlton. He's already passed with just under 1,500 yards in these 4 games.
Yeah.
Okay, Blaine Gabbert played 6 games for the 49ers. 6. He had less than 900 yards in 6 games. So when you talk about a comparison between the 2 quarterbacks, their ability, and you also got to realize Kaepernick has rushed for over 300 yards, Charlton, in these 4 games. So when they say what a quarterback cannot do, show me a quarterback. Show me 10 quarterbacks right now, Charlton, not 8 quarterbacks. Show me 10 quarterbacks that have played better than Colin Kaepernick in the last 4 weeks in the NFL.
No, you can't.
And, you know, realistically, when you look, he's had 1 and 3. He's as a starter. There's many other quarterbacks that have been 1 and 3. Pittsburgh's been 1 and 3 in that same length of time, Charlton.
Yeah.
Nobody's talked about cutting a quarterback in Pittsburgh, and I also believe that Aaron Rodgers has been 1 and 3 in the last 4 games.
Yeah, and when you
but,
look,
there's no job insecurity in Green Bay. You know, they're talking about it's McCarthy's fault. No one's saying it's Kelly's fault in San Francisco or the general manager. What is his name? Blake.
Balky. We're talking about Balky. Yeah, Tim Balky.
Yeah. No one's saying it's Balky or Kelly's fault. It's all Kaepernick's fault. But here's a guy who's put up numbers in 4 weeks.
Unbelievable.
They're along with any quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and if you had anyone on the team that could account for 90%, almost 90% every game, at least 85% of the offense, if he had even 2 more players, then the 49ers would be looking at a playoff play this year because they cannot score anybody. They just can't stop anybody, Big C. And that's what he said when the season began.
Think about the quarterbacks that he outplayed in 1 game this year. I mean, this past week he outplayed Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He had better statistics than Tom Brady.
Sure did.
And Tom Brady's the pinnacle of an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
But when you look up and down the list, Charlton, not many quarterbacks have outplayed him, but, he's constantly had this bashing through the media, and they keep saying politics and sports don't mix, Charlton. Yeah. The only way people come after Colin Kaepernick is on his political stance.
Yeah.
I don't care whether it's Stephen A. Smith, another black man on ESPN, or whether it's one of the white enough. They're all going after Colin Kaepernick. What is he doing to you personally?
What they
should say, Dalton, is that they are offended. They don't like him on his stance because they're cowards and they cannot speak like him.
Yeah.
This is the same type of the backlash that the Americans took, the African Americans took in 1968 at the Olympics. Lee Evans and Tommy Hyde.
Yeah.
When they gave the Black Power sign. how they were ousted from amateur sports because they did something that made other people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They stood up for themselves as black men, Charlton. And when I hear other black men making these racial statements against black men, Charlton, why are they doing that?
Well,
what has made you better or more elevated than him? Because you always survive because some white guy is giving you a job. Just like Kaepernick, the white guy is giving him a job also.
Yeah.
But the only reason you're surviving on air is because you're berating another black man. Go out and berate a white quarterback like this. Say things about a white quarterback that you say about Kaepernick and see how long you keep your job.
Well, a lot of people understand that's just something a lot of guys don't have a lot of courage, Big C, so they say that they take the easy route. Speaking of more courage, when you look at the San Diego Chargers, they had a 21-13 win over the Houston Texans on the road. And again, the great Brock Osweiler, $73 million, Big C, is what he was given by the Houston Texans. And he's supposed to be the savior for that organization. And they lose at home to a Charger team that's going to probably finish last in the AFC West. When you look at total first downs, San Diego had 18, Houston had 22. And passing, Osweiler had 246 yards. He was 22 of 37. He threw 3 interceptions, Big C, at home. And Rivers goes in there and wins. Rivers was 22 of 30 with 1 pick and 242 yards. But here's the great Brock Osweiler. He throws 3 interceptions, Big C. He's the marquee quarterback that all of the networks were saying, this is our next John Elway, our next Peyton Manning. He throws 3 interceptions at home against a team that's in last place in the AFC West, Big C. Your thoughts on Houston and San Diego?
Well, maybe he has some kindness or affinity for the teams in the AFC West. I remember just a week ago when he played against the Raiders on Monday night, and he was so gladly giving them the football.
Yeah, he lost that game too. Yeah, he lost that game.
And now he comes home and plays against the Chargers, another AFC West. Look, wait, he played in the AFC West last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did.
Okay, so he's having flashbacks. And that's what he's doing. He's having flashbacks. Yeah, I'm feeling dead when he's thinking. Let me throw these guys the ball because he lost 3 games in a row last year when he was quarterback in Denver. Yeah. And he was benched for the triple Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and he got a pay raise for losing games, Big C. So there goes the NFL for you. Another. Go ahead, Big C.
He's on the same run again. He's lost 3 in a row. Now when they bench him, go out and lose 4 in a row.
Well, they might go out and lose 4 in a row. You never know the way they're playing, Big C. And then the Patriots with the great Tom Brady. What a comeback win over the New York Jets. That's a game the Jets had in the bag, Big C, but Tom Brady went in there, got it done. When you look at the first downs, the Jets only had 16 first downs. New England had 26. But when it comes to getting the ball into the end zone, you know, they've done it for years with New England. And you look at the stats, just for Brady, he was 30 of 50. He threw the ball a lot, Big C. And he had 286 passing yards. And Fitzpatrick had 269 passing yards, 32. He's actually 22 of 32. The Jets just have a hard time beating New England. But I'm telling you, New England can be had. This is not the same New England team that went to the Super Bowl and won it a couple of seasons ago, Big C. This is a team that could be had. Even though Brady's very good on offense, they don't have the kind of team that's going on the road, putting up 30 points like they used to in the past, Big C. Your thoughts on New England and a close win over the Jets?
Well, yesterday, Tom Brady tied Peyton Manning for the NFL all-time wins with 200.
Yeah.
But that's really the only thing he did good yesterday, Charlton. He missed a plethora of wide-open receivers in the game. He did not look sharp at all, and they were very fortunate to come out with this victory. They lost Gronk in this game to a back strain has been suspected.
Yeah.
But, Tom Brady looked like, he's falling off the cliff very quickly. He started out this season and everybody said, okay, he's the MVP. But now, he's lost the game and he hasn't looked well in a couple of others, Charlton. So the New England offense right now has some question marks. Their defense has played better than what's expected with a bunch of no-names over there.
Yeah.
They were very lucky to get out of New York with a victory yesterday. But Tom Brady just has not looked sharp in the past couple of weeks. Now, any quarterback can go through this, Charlton. He's a veteran. He knows how to win, and that's the thing in the NFL.
Yeah.
As long as you win, Al Davis, your buddy said, just win, baby.
Just win.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what Tom Brady does, just win. He's not always going to be Tom Terrific.
Yeah.
But he's always going to be Tom the winner. That's the thing you have to look at.
Well, speaking of winning, this segment is sponsored by your California Lottery and also the Powerball. I'm telling you, what can a buck do for you or $2 do for you? We talked about it earlier, Big C. Some good old boy down in Tennessee won over $420 million in the Powerball, Big C. It has been reported, I cannot confirm or deny, but there's been a shortage of potatoes from Idaho, Big C. They've all been headed to Tennessee. What are they doing with that many potatoes, Big C? What can you make with that many potatoes, Big C?
Well, it's a lot of fish, so that's what a fish fry is, Johnson.
Yeah.
You got fish and chips, right? Just like in England across the pond, you got fish and chips.
Yeah.
And you got vats of grease out there dropping the fish in, letting them swim till they float, and you got the potatoes doing the same thing.
That is so funny, Big C. I'm still reminded of being in the black hole and getting baptized in the black hole by what they call liquid gold, but I do appreciate the great football that was played at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. For anyone loving football, I mean, the lotto is great, but I think sometimes being in the black hole might be a little bit even more enjoyable, Big C, a little bit more exciting. You hear a lot of words that are kind of like Donald Trump, Big C, but it's such a great place to watch a football game. Love the Raider fans and the black hole experience. Also, another great game. You had the Baltimore Ravens, actually it was 19-14 over the Bengals in their own division, Big C. It's looking pretty tough for Lewis because they really want to get him out of town. And when you look at the first downs in that game, Baltimore had 16. Cincinnati had more at 22. But the Ravens, again, their defense finds a way to win for them. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, the defense finds a way to win the game, Charlie, but it was the most iconic play at the end of the game. When the Ravens took a holding penalty, the entire punting team held the defenders from Cincinnati and allowed the kicker to run out the clock. But, you know, a lot of people were appalled by that, but that's within the NFL rules. You know there's holding on every play, but they did it intentionally to take the flag, to let the clock run out, because the game cannot end on an offensive penalty if you don't want it to. But so they took the safety off and he stepped out of the end zone, gave up the 2 points, knowing that they would be kicking the ball to Cincinnati with no time left on the clock, right?
Yeah.
But a very smart move by Harbaugh, understanding the rules of the game, Charlton. And see, this is what you pay a head coach for.
Yeah.
To understand all the nuances and the rules of the game. The game may not have been pretty, but when he got down to crunch time, when he had to do something for his team to win, Charlton, with just 12 to 11 seconds left on the clock, he knew the rules of the game. He said, all we got to do is hold these guys, and typically the flag's going to be thrown, allow the kickers a time to run around and run out the clock. And so it was a masterful job by Harbaugh in coaching, Charlton, and understanding the rules and the strategy of the NFL.
Well, you had a play also, kind of an NBA play. You know the way the San Antonio Spurs, they always flop, Big C. Vontaze Burfict, he pushed into Smith, the receiver, and Smith kind of came up and kind of gave him the business back. And Vontaze Burfict, about 6'2", 250, falls on the ground, and they actually call a personal foul on Smith, who was bumped earlier by Vontaze. I think the officiating, we can't always blame the officials, but that's a joke call right there, Big C. You got to know when a guy 6'2", 250 is flopping, Big C. Your thoughts?
well, in soccer, Charlton, you get a yellow card. Okay, in NFL, you get a yellow flag.
You got 15 yards.
As tough a job they have, Charlton, they do a marvelous job officiating games. But there's times when they go blind. You know, they like me, they got glaucoma.
That's what
we run around, we run into each other at times.
Yours is not glaucoma. Yours is from drinking too much shine, Big C. Let's not blame glaucoma for the empty coffee can you got down there, Big C, okay?
But, you know, this is the reason why we have instant replay, Charlton.
Yeah.
It is the most dumbfounded rule that we have in the NFL, the least piece of equipment that's utilized.
Yeah.
Instant replay. If you can use it on looking to see whether a player steps out of bounds, Charlton, and calling back a touchdown, or if he made a catch, calling back a reception, you can use it, Charlton, on a questionable call, especially if it's a personal foul. I think that all personal fouls should have the opportunity to be reviewed, because those are things that stem the tide of a game. And so if you're going to do that, whether it's a hit on a quarterback, whether it's a stupid situation like the Burfict and Smith yesterday, Charlton, all personal fouls should be able to be reviewed, because when they stem the tide of a game, Charlton, they take away the momentum of a team that's on a roll. And we don't get a call. And we've seen a lot of that with Cam Newton this year with non-calls hit on a quarterback.
He got one yesterday.
He got one. Okay, one in 11 games, Charlton. Hell, that's a hell of a statistic, okay?
That's true.
Tell me what other quarterback in the NFL has only got one roughing the passer call against him, Charlton. Cam Newton had to go 11 games and come down there with your boys to throw some criminals in Oakland.
If they thought he was roughed up on the field, there was about 50 people got roughed up in the black hole, Big C. So he actually came out okay from, in my opinion, Big C. Another good game yesterday. I'm telling you, the Atlanta Falcons, they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde. And we know Arizona, they were really favored to challenge in the NFC West last year, Big C, reaching the NFC Championship game with Carolina. The Falcons on top 38-19 over Arizona, which is really falling on a hard time. I think this might be Carson Palmer's, last hooray coming out of the Arizona. And you're looking at first downs. Arizona had 28. Atlanta had 28, Arizona had 23, and they both passed the ball well yesterday, but just Arizona's falling on a hard time. You can't really count on Carson Palmer anymore to win you the big game, but Matt Ryan, he's kind of up and down at times, but yesterday Ryan had a decent game for the Falcons. He was 26-34, one pick, 269 yards, and my man Palmer was 25-45 with one pick. He had 289, but Arizona just can't close, Big C. Good win by Atlanta yesterday.
Well, I think you have to look further than Carson Palmer in this scenario. So you have to look at the receiving corps in Arizona. They have just not gotten the job done this year. They've dropped some critical passes. I know Floyd cost them the game yesterday when he had a pass on the sideline. They would have gotten the first down to keep the drive alive. It went right through his hands and he laid it on the turf. That was just the last one. There were several drop balls, and Carson Palmer's had that all year long. And we talk about quarterbacks getting the praise or getting the blame.
Yeah.
When things go good, they're getting all the praise. When things are not going good, they're getting all the blame. But when you have receiving corps that are letting you down, Jonathan, that's the biggest quandary, because these guys are supposed to be the best in the business, Jonathan. They're NFL receivers, and they're catching passes. They go out and put showboats on in practice and pregame catching passes with one hand.
Yeah.
But when it gets to the game, they can't put two on the ball, Jonathan. So at times you question the quarterback, which is rightfully so because they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But these receivers are not broke either, going up and down the sideline.
Yeah, that's right.
And when they're not catching the ball, it becomes a team sport, Jonathan. And when you lose, people are sitting around saying, well, he's not performing. But Carson Palmer has done yeoman work this year. He hasn't looked as sharp as he had in the past. And the reason for that, Jonathan, is because when you have receivers dropping half the balls that are passed to him, you're never going to be an elite quarterback. But he's been an elite quarterback in this league for years. And when you look at Matt Ryan, the Jekyll and Hyde of all professional quarterbacks, when they're running the ball in Atlanta, that's the difference. And they had a running game again yesterday, Charlton. Plus, they also had a decent pass rush on the Atlanta side of the field. You had Freeman and Beasley really getting up the field along with Claiborne. And so they put a lot of pressure on Palmer, who is not a mobile quarterback. You know basically where he's going to be in the pocket, Jonathan.
Yeah.
But that defensive front for Atlanta played well, and the ground game for Atlanta played exceptionally well. So it makes Matt Ryan's job really easy at that point, Jonathan.
Well, speaking of making a job easy, this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. Also, we are endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. We work with all of the unions under the AFL-CIO, and we're looking to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers. And unlike Donald Trump, we want to have those jobs inside the United States. Big C. Donald Trump's building them outside of the country. Donald Trump he's involved with over 150 businesses, and actually 28 of those are outside of the United States, Big C. And I still got to go back to the time that he was stomping for the vote, especially telling the inner city black Americans that he's going to give them, $100 million of infrastructure work to create jobs. And he told all the rural good old boys he's going to build up jobs in the rural areas and bring back the coal mines and get rid of machines and replace them with people. He's going to take all the cotton guys, the guys that do vegetables and crops and wine and pistachios. He's going to get rid of all the machines and bring back people, Big C. Well, I'm telling you, we actually want to give people jobs inside the United States, Big C. Do you think we should go to machines and let the machines do the work? Or like Donald Trump does, Big C? Or should we keep people working, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think Donald Trump forgot to tell, his base that mechanism and modernization has changed the employment stature of the U.S. Also, when you look at it as a whole. Jobs are not readily available now because modernization and mechanization, Charlton, has replaced a lot of manual labor in the workforce. Yeah. And that was done to not just the downside, Charlton, but to make businesses more economical and profitable because these machines only take a little oil or electricity. Yeah. And where they don't take lunch breaks, Charlton. Right. They don't call out sick. Yeah. And so, Donald Trump is not talking about the people that he would employ.
No.
You got to look at his labor force throughout his organization, Charlton, his structure.
Yeah.
He pays minimum wage to a lot of his employees, which he can't keep. And like you say, he invests in foreign countries, 27 foreign countries that he's invested in.
No, 28, Big C, 28.
28.
Don't shortchange him.
Is he willing to divest himself in these foreign countries?
No.
And he invest that money into America? Now, he's the leader. He's going to be the leader if he will.
Yeah.
Is he willing to lead by example, Charlton, by divesting in these foreign countries? And this is what his followers have to ask.
Yeah.
How much of Donald's own corporate money is he going to reinvest back in the U.S.? That $150 million he just invested in Mexico.
Yeah.
Is he going to retract that and invest that here in America to create American jobs?
Well, I think
he doesn't care about America that much, John, but he can say that. But he's not going to take his foreign money that he's making millions of dollars off of a day, a month, and every year, and bring it to the U.S. to pay an overrated salary, as he would call it, to a U.S. worker when he can get slave labor in a third world country for pennies on the dollar, Charlton.
Well, it's so funny again. When I was listening to Will Spitzer just last week, he was saying that Donald Trump, out of all of his companies, he received over, I think, $300,000 in donations for charities, right? This money was to go for charities, and he was using that money to pay for his lawsuits. As we know, he settled a $25 million lawsuit for fraud. What a way to come into the White House, Big C. And speaking of coming into the White House, I want to get back to the NFL with the great Drew Brees. We were talking about replacing people with robots, and someone might want to look at this guy a little bit closer because Drew Brees, he's playing almost like a robot, Big C. Passing for Drew Brees yesterday, 28 of 36, 310 yards, and he always does it. I mean, he always gets 300 yards like handshakes, Big C. And you have the New Orleans Saints over the Los Angeles Rams, and I do want to give my man Goff a little bit of credit because he had a decent game yesterday, Big C. He was 20 or 32, but he did throw an interception. He only had 214 yards. At times, he looked like a deer in the headlights. But the Saints' defense is not very good, and I'm just looking how contrasting what Goff is doing and Wentz is doing compared to what Ezekiel Elliott's doing and Prescott, Big C. Your thoughts on Drew Brees, again, 300 yards like a handshake, Big C?
Well, that's natural for Drew Brees. That's like rolling the dice in Vegas. You know how they're going to come up, okay?
Yeah.
Drew Brees is going to get you 300. You might as well play a lottery ticket. Drew Brees with 300 numbers on there, okay? Go out and play your fantasy four. You use the 300 and whatever numbers come along there with the number 9.
Yeah.
But, when you look at Jared Goff, the number one overall draft.
Say that again. I might write that down. The number 9 plus 300, Big C. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
But when you look at Jared Goff's outing yesterday in New Orleans, he looked good in the first half. He really did, Charlton. He had 3 touchdown passes. But I think he went into the halftime thinking the game was over.
Yeah.
And he went in there to 3 touchdown passes, and the next thing you know, he started watching the game, and he said, okay, let's watch the Drew Brees show now, And the Rams, even with their great defense, Charlton, just could not withstand that for the next 30 minutes. You got to get some productivity from your offense. And when you look at it from this aspect, Charlton, you've scored 3 touchdowns in the first half, and you don't even try to run the ball in the second half.
Yeah.
You got Todd Gurley. I mean, you really have to question, here's Jared Goff. He sit down for the first, 9 games of the season?
Yeah.
Saying that he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Now, he's thrown 4 touchdowns in the 2 games that he's played, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's the most productivity of a 2-game stretch that they've had from their quarterback scenario.
Yeah.
So why did you not start him at the beginning of the season, even in the first 3 or 4 games, Charlton? If he's giving you 4 touchdowns in 2 games, what does he see now that he did not see then?
Yeah.
That's the thing you have to question, and you really want to question Jeff Fisher. At what point do you think about developing this quarterback? He's going to have to take his lumps at some point, okay?
Yeah.
And Jeff Fisher is not understanding what it takes to develop a quarterback. Yes, he did not score in the second half, but if you look at the productivity that he had in the first 6 quarters of playing quarterback in the NFL, 4 touchdown passes, Charlton. And I know we've knocked him like we knocked a lot of other people, Charlton, but you got to give credit when credit is due. If you're throwing 4 touchdowns every 6 quarters, you should be starting in the NFL, Charlton.
Yeah, well, that's the great Jeff Fisher, Big C. And also, speaking of the NFL, just looking at what the Buffalo Bills, Shady McCoy, I really love the way he runs the football. 28-21 win over the Jacksonville yesterday, Big C. just a great game, a great football player, a guy that really knows how to get it done in Shady McCoy. But you look at the Bills, I mean, they're on the heels of New England, but I don't think they can overtake New England in any shape or form, Big C. But just your thoughts on what he does and what he means to that Buffalo Bills football team, even though they're known for their defense, Big C.
Well, just an electrifying player, Charlton. They can do it all. You know, he's a threat coming out of the backfield as a receiver. If you get him out on a linebacker, it's a total mismatch. But once he breaks through that front seven running the football, Charlton, it's hard to get a hand on him in the open field. He's one of the most elusive backs in the NFL when he's healthy. Now, we know he had the hamstring problem earlier in the season, Charlton.
Yeah.
But now he seems to be healthy and getting the job done. And the Bills, as you say, they will not catch New England, Charlton, but they have a chance to stabilize themselves in second place in that division. And the development of the quarterback, you know, that's always going to be the key.
Yeah.
And when you look at, they gave him a contract extension, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he got the confidence in knowing that he's going to be the leader of the team. Tyrod Taylor will be in Buffalo for some years.
And that's he's amazing.
When you develop your quarterback, and he doesn't get much mention because of the division that he's in and Tom Brady's that he's in, but Tyrod Taylor over the last 2 years has been one of the more consistent young quarterbacks in the NFL, Charles.
Yeah, he sure is, Big C. And Shady McCoy, 19 carries, 103 yards for the Buffalo Bills. And 2 more games for the NFL, Big C, before we get to this Monday night game. I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans, a game that they had the chance to just do a better job than they had to, but they get the win over the Bears. It seems like everybody's beat up on the Bears, but Mariota, they're in a position to challenge for their division because I don't think Houston's going to hold up. Osweiler just cannot perform going down the stretch, and when you look at Mariota, he's still very aggressive. He's persistent. He throws the ball well. 15 to 23. Had over 270 yards passing yesterday, Big C. Your thoughts on Mariota? Is he the guy to lead them to the division championship, Big C?
Well, you know, I think it comes down to Malarkey and the quarterback coach Charlton there in Tennessee. He's one of the better NFL quarterbacks when he's a pocket passer, Charlton, but he keeps going back to the things that he did well in college, being mobile.
Yeah.
And I think that hurts him. He has to develop a little more patience, Charlton, in the pocket. And we've seen the polishness. When he's a pocket passer, he's passing at about a 70-71% clip. Now, that's the elite status in the NFL when you're doing that. It's just when he gets out on the fringes, Charlton, he's dropping down under 60% as a passer.
Yeah.
So, you know, if he stays in the pocket, you're going to get hit in the NFL. You know, that's, you know, a no-brainer. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to be willing to stay there and take some of those hits, Charlton. And that's what a quarterback will do. You do what you need to do to help your team win.
Yeah.
Tennessee has a solid running game. Give the ball to Murray. He's the second leading rusher in the NFL. Let him carry the load. You don't need to do it as a quarterback. You understand you came into this league hyped on your mobility, but develop that arm, develop that pocket presence, and now you will get your team in the playoff contention. But as long as you want to continuously run the ball, Charlton, you're going to hurt your team. And as we saw last year, that's how Mariota ended his season early, by running the ball and having a knee injury.
I agree. Last game coming up tonight, Monday Night Football. You have the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Green Bay out of the NFC North, they are 4-6 on the season. And then you have Philadelphia, which started off very fast. They're 5-5 on the season. You have the great Aaron Rodgers going in to take on Carson Wentz, the upstart quarterback and first-round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. Just your thoughts on what this means. Number one, if Wentz goes in there and has a good game against Green Bay, are they going to blame the offensive line for Green Bay? If you go in there and Rodgers gets the win, are they going to say that Wentz is not what they thought he was, Big C? Either way, I think they're kind of right no matter who they go with. I'm just going to go with not New England, but I'm going to go with Green Bay to go in there and win just because I feel like they can in the big games going down the stretch. I think Carson Wentz has shown they've been on a losing streak since they started out 3-0, Big C. So I'm looking at Rodgers and Green Bay in their experience, but I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped the ball, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, let me give you a common denominator for this game that many people may not understand. When Aaron Rodgers was a rookie quarterback, okay, he was a third-string quarterback in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson was the backup quarterback behind Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers' rookie year.
Yeah.
Who is now the head coach in Philadelphia, who is coaching Carson Wentz. So if there's anybody who has an understanding of what Aaron Rodgers can do, it's going to be Doug Peterson, because he led led him in two, which is behind Brett Favre for a year.
Yeah.
But you also look at Carson Wentz, Charlton. He started out real hot on the year. The Eagles were 3-0. But is it going to be the team that started the season 3-0, or is it going to be the team that played the last 7 games that is 2-5? You know, the Eagles, though, have not lost a game at home this year, Charlton, so they're undefeated at home. But this is a different story. They don't have a running game, and that's been the difference. Matthews has been hurt. They haven't had anybody to do the play-action fakes to. Darren Sproles may not play this tonight, Charlton, because he's had the rib problem from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But you also look on the flip side with Green Bay. They have no running game. In the last 4 games, Aaron Rodgers has led the Green Bay Packers in rushing. You think about it, one of the more profound quarterbacks in the league has had to lead his team in rushing in the last 10 weeks. But statistically, Aaron Rodgers is really not down this year, Charlton. He's had 25 touchdowns to 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the NFL. His receiving corps is getting healthy. Defensively, Philadelphia is not what they were the first 5 weeks of the season, Charlton.
Yeah.
They've been manipulated. They've been run on. And they're also sitting down Nelson Aguilar, who's their #1 draft pick and wide receiver last year. So this Philadelphia team is feeling some problems about their personnel. They're having some uneasiness, and it's easy to blame it on the fringe players versus the quarterback.
Yeah.
But I like Green Bay tonight, Charlton. You know, Clay Matthews is playing. A couple other linebackers are out, but if Matthews can get back to half of his old self and put some pressure on Wentz, Charlton, this could be a long night for the Eagles.
Well, I think it will be a good game, but I do give Green Bay the edge just because of the players you just mentioned, Big C. And this final segment is sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. Also by Beneath His Wings Foundation.org, and contact CYN Entertainment when it comes to promotions. Cynthia Evans, she's the best in Northern California. And again, I mentioned our life insurance company. I'm looking to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers because we simply want to put people back to work. You can tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports at Yes Charlton. That's YES Charlton on Twitter. And again, with iHeartMedia, we are the #1 media company in the United States. No one competes with iHeartMedia. And Charlton and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, Big C, according to the black hole over at the Coliseum last night, Big C. And we are, without a doubt, the only sports show on iHeartMedia that does it freestyle. That means no producer in your ear. That means no teleprompters. No one's telling you what to say. You watch some of the sports programs, and I challenge all of our brethren. We ask everyone to do this from Thanksgiving all the way to December 1st. Just put down the teleprompter. You know, speak freestyle, speak extemporaneous. It doesn't matter how good you are, how bad. Everybody can say who's good and who's bad, who you like and who you don't like. But we're trying to ask all of the producers, have your broadcasters go freestyle. Put all the teleprompters, turn them off, save electricity. I think Donald Trump wants to help lower electric bills costs. Turn off the teleprompters is one way he's going to tell you. But also do that and see what kind of talent you're working with. I think all of us can get better when it comes to that, Big C. And speaking of that, I just want to touch a little bit on college football for the final few minutes. Look at all the great college football being played in the country, and I want to pound this point home because I'm pro jobs for everybody. And when it comes to the college athletes, Big C, there's a lot of kids who simply could use some extra money. And I know when it comes to athletes, Big C, a lot of these kids, these top athletes, happen to be African-American quarterbacks. And when you look at the top teams in the Final Four, you have #1 Alabama. I know you probably voted for Alabama since they don't lose, Big C. But they all...
I don't know why they haven't failed.
I understand, Big C. They still got to play the games. Ohio State's #2. They had a nice overtime win against Michigan. I think even double overtime. Harbaugh had a few comments to say to the media, cost him about 10 grand. He had that in his socks on the sideline, Big C. So 10 grand, that's like a handshake for Jim Harbaugh.
In his khaki pocket.
In his khaki pockets, Big C. Clemson's #3, also led by African-American quarterback. They have Washington #4. They're led by the great Jake Browning out of Sacramento, California. And I bring up the colors of these athletes because of all of the money that's going to be made through this Final Four. You have over $1 billion exchanging hands when you look at global marketing, global advertising, all the concessions being poured in, all the money being given to airlines to fly people around the country, all the hotels that are going to be paid up, all the TV revenue. You're talking about over $1 billion being exchanged because of this Final Four they're going to come up with, whether Colorado gets in or Wisconsin or Michigan. they're still looking at Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Washington. Big C, I want to just ask you a question. For all of the African-American talent, we talk about the coach at Houston that just got the job at Texas. On a one-day notice, he left town and told those boys, goodbye, I'm going to greater pastures. We talk about Nick Saban, how he's been all over the country coaching different teams from the NFL back to Alabama. Dabo Swinney's also been out there in the walks. And then we talked about the kid Peterson that left Boise State for Washington, Big C. They're all making 7 figures. None of these coaches are even advocating for their players to get any money, not even $1, Big C. Not even $1 for these players. They're going to accumulate over $1 billion in total marketing and advertising. Will any of these coaches say, you know what, guys? Jay Billy's already talked about it. He's an attorney out of Duke. It's time to start giving these kids some money because we're talking about billions of dollars. Now they want to go from Final Four to the Final 8. Do you ever see that coming into fruition, Big C?
You know, Charlton, and let's get to an 8-team playoff. I don't see anything. But let's go back to Tom Herman.
Yeah.
The former coach of the Houston Cougars. And, you know, we go back to the beginning of the summer where there was a player, Smith, a defensive back at Alabama who was a graduate. Yeah. He wanted to transfer to University of Georgia. And Nick Saban fought it tooth and nail. Yeah. Now, Nick Saban's salary in Alabama is close to $9 million, Charlton. $9 million.
Also, he's broke. He's Nick Saban. Are you saying Nick Saban's broke?
He had already graduated, okay, and he wanted to leave and go spend his 5th year senior at a college that was in the state that he grew up in, Charlton. He wanted to go back to Georgia. Yeah. Nick Saban fought that for a month and a half, Charlton. Blocked this young man from leaving. Now, we just saw Tom Herman. Now, let's look at the atrociousness of money that's being paid to coaches. Yeah. The University of Texas gave Charlie Strong $10 million and said goodbye, okay? Yeah. They paid the University of Houston $14 million to buy out Tom Herman's contract, okay? Now, we're at $24 million, Charlton, in a matter of 2 days. $24 million. They gave him a $30 million 5-year contract, okay, Charlton? $54 million invested in a matter of 2 days over 2 quarterbacks. Wow. That's not counting Charlie Strong's salary, which is about $2.5 million at Texas. So we're talking about an excess of $55 million in a matter of 2 days that the University of Texas spent on football. Now, not a player is getting a dime. Right. But for $2 million, in excess of $55 million spent, Charlton. That's the greed of college football, of college sports. Yes, we all want to see great performances. We all want to see those local teams win, Charlton. Yeah. But it's winning at the expense of free labor, of exploitation. Yeah. And this is something that the public really needs to understand. We all enjoy great competition. As fans, we go, we live, we love, we drink too much because of it, and I know I eat too much behind it. Yeah, that's okay. But, you know, we gotta be realistic now. The average person sitting around driving home listening to this show tonight, think about hitting the lottery. That's what these 2 schools just did. Yeah. $55 million. You walk out on 100 players who dedicated themselves to you for the past 2 years, okay? Yeah. They've given their heart and soul. They've been hurt. They've had surgery, Charlton. They've missed class. Everything for this coach. Yeah. They sold their souls for this coach who said, hey, I can make more money down the street at another university. You guys are meaningless to me. Yeah. You catapulted me to a big payday is what you have done. You've catapulted this coach to this humongous payday where he's going to receive $30 million over the next 5 years, not counting the signing bonus he gets, Charlton. Yeah. The University of Houston gets $14 million in kickback. How much of that will be dispersed to the players? And they say, well, they're amateur athletes. Oh, crap, Charlton. There's no amateur athletes left in sports. You can tell that lie all you want. Okay, they've been paying athletes under the table forever. Pay them on top of the table. Don't make the guy crawl through the back door trying to get some money in an envelope, okay? Yeah. Give him a paycheck. Let him pay taxes on it. Because there's so many people in America that's not paying taxes, President-elect Donald Trump. Allow these players to get a paycheck and let them pay taxes on it like any civil American citizen would do. Yeah. All right? Yeah. But stop screwing these athletes around saying that they're amateurs and they can't get funds, Mr. NCAA, who sit out there getting ready to make a couple of $1 billion off this playoff series.
Well, see, Big C, and something I want to bring up, too, because we've talked about it before, and hardly anyone will hear this outside of Charlton and Big C Sports. As an African-American broadcaster, when I see someone being exploited, I at least want to shine some light on it. I think Jay Bill has tried to, but maybe he got afraid, or maybe someone told him to shut up, or they were going to fire him. But I hope that of all the talented attorneys out there that are pro-labor, they're pro-labor force, there's so much exploitation going on in the world of college sports, and primarily these coaches are all old Caucasian men. It's that good old boy network that we talk about, and you see it over 113.
What was Notre Dame's record this year, okay?
Very bad. I think they have 4 wins, Big C.
They were 4-8, okay? What was Texas's record, Charlie?
I think about the same, Big C.
4-8, all right? Charlie Strong is 5. Brian Kelly loses 8 games equal to Charlie Strong. Not only that, he had to vacate 22 victories, Charlie.
Yeah.
He had to vacate. So basically, that's enough. You add that together, that's about 30 losses, okay, he took this year.
Yeah.
He took 30 losses to keep a job. He's not out looking for another job.
Yeah.
But he's at this hollow ground university that will accept failure.
Yeah.
Because he's white. But if he had been Tyrone Willingham, he would have been gone.
Yeah, and I think everybody, because the media, Charlton and Big C Sports, we're the only ones that are going to tell it to you like that. Tune in for tomorrow because they have a lot more information that you're not going to want to miss. And it's about the same thing we're talking about. Watch the documentary 13th. It talks about a lot of what we're going to bring up to you. And as they always tell you, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, follow Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And we do it every single day. And I want to tell you, no woman should ever have to go through domestic violence. This is anti-tolerance. There should be no tolerance at all for domestic violence. If you see any woman going through that garbage, call 911 and don't make her go through it on her own. Also, I want to tell you, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, follow Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And as we always tell you, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.